I'm probably not doing the artist way in the way that Julia Cameron intended me to do, but say la vie. At least I'm still going through the process, and at least I am still finishing up each week. I really needed a break last week, and I'm so glad that I took that break. And I think that there's some creative maturity that comes with that, especially since I've been going through the artist way for almost 2 months now, and it honestly makes me feel a little more refreshed. It's no surprise that the artist way takes up a lot of time, and last week I just needed some time back. The irony, though, of it all is that this week is week 8, recovering a sense of strength, and the main focus for this chapter is time, and time being a block for our creativity. But it's not in the way that you might think, and honestly, it's not in the way that I thought until I read the chapter. I've also heard through the grapevine of Tickety Talk that a lot of people kind of drop off after week 8, which is a little alarming to me. But don't worry, I'm still gonna go through this process. By this point, I feel like some people get that aha moment, and they definitely feel that creative flow and that energy and are actually creating art without restricting themselves. However, some people might just think that this chapter is too much for them, and that kind of hinders them for continuing any further. I did take a look at some of the activities at the end of the chapter that Julia Cameron asks us to work on, and a lot of them are a little, not alarming, but they make us think about deeply what we want with our lives and from a creative perspective. And up until now, I hadn't really been thinking too deeply about creating art. I've mostly just been doing this process so I can enjoy and be that child again and just create art for fun, not have a bigger goal. And I think that is something that hinders a lot of people from moving forward, because I feel like this is a chapter where we have to take ourselves a little bit more seriously, since we now have the foundation steps to grow a little bit more. That's what I'm getting at based on what I've read. We'll see as I keep reading the chapter. I hope you enjoy this video, and welcome to week 8 of The Artist's Way, recovering from a sense of strength. Week 8 of The Artist's Way was actually a really long chapter, and I don't want to go through every piece of the chapter. I do want to talk about the two main takeaways, one being about loss and the other one being centered around time. And as a reminder, this chapter is recovering a sense of strength, which I honestly don't really understand how that title of the chapter relates to time and loss, but here we are. Not everything has to make sense. I love Julia Cameron's way of defining and describing loss. It doesn't have to be something so negative, and we can take time to process loss in a way that can help us grow and spin it into a more positive direction. Julia Cameron starts off by saying that all artists must learn the art of surviving loss, whether that be loss of face, loss of a loved one, loss of money, loss of power, loss of creativity, which is the big picture of this whole idea of the artist's way. And a lot of the times when we lose something, we tend to run or hide away from it. We tend to grieve in a potentially non-healthy way, and we sometimes might try to forget that ever even happened. And Julia Cameron reminds us that to unlock our creativity and to overcome this feeling of loss of whatever you're losing in your life, you have to face that loss front and center, and you should take control of that loss. You should really let yourself breathe and live in that loss so that you can not be afraid and you can overcome it in that sense. And she titles this subsection, Gain Discussed as Loss. Art is the act of structuring time. Every loss must always be viewed as a potential gain. It's all in the framing. And honestly, that's just a way to look at life. And I love that it can be tied to something creatively, but also just life in general. And that's something that I really appreciate about the artist way. And I'm learning is that, yes, it's a way for me to tap into my creativity, but also I'm getting these little life lessons that I can use not just for my creativity, but also use it for my work life or my personal life. And there's something so special about that. And with the concept of loss, when we sit and digest that loss, we're able to grow and strengthen our bond with ourselves and our creativity as well. When we sit and think about our loss rather than brushing it aside, I think we can learn a little bit about ourselves, what that loss means, how can you move forward because of that loss. An example of this could be just from this weekend. I did start my knitting project. I told you last week that I got some yarn and I'm going to do the step-by-step sweater by Florence Miller. And I started with the collar, and let me tell you, I had to restart maybe 5 times with the ribbing. I've heard that the collar and ribbing is the hardest part, and I felt so defeated. Am I able to do this? Am I gonna be able to make myself a sweater? And I was thinking to myself, I've wasted so much time, the loss of time, trying to have to start over and over again, and just the loss of my confidence, of me thinking that I could do this. And then once I had to start over a few times, I'm sitting here wondering if I'm even going to make the sweater, right? And it's the changing of the perspective that I need to remind myself of. Yes, maybe I started over 5 times, but I made mistakes and I know what mistakes I've made. And rather than just moving forward with the sweater, I chose to start over because in the end, I want to be able to wear the sweater. I want to be proud of the sweater. I want to be able to be proud of my work, and I want to put in my A+ effort. And that's why I started over 5 times. That's why there was that loss, so that in the end, I can gain a beautiful step-by-step sweater perspective. Everything is great now. So I'm feeling a little bit better about my sweater. If you must know, I'm back to square zero. I need to start back on the collar. From a few weeks ago, I mentioned that Julia Cameron doesn't describe time as our villain. And up until now, I've been complaining, like, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. I'm always so tired. There's not enough time in the day for me to get X, Y, and Z done. And that is not the mindset that we should be having when we're looking at time and structuring our time. It's so funny because sometimes we'll be like, oh, I'm too old for this, or there's not enough time for me to do this. And these are all just excuses that we give ourselves rather than just doing something and being creative. And with this concept of time, what I've also noticed with myself is that I'm always looking and thinking forward into the end product and thinking about how much time it'll take me to do something, how much time it might take me to finish a product or even just start a product, and I'll sit with it for so long that I won't just actually do the dang thing. And that's what Julia Cameron is telling us. Rather than using time as the villain here, why don't we just do it? Just do it, as Nike says. Julia Cameron says, creativity occurs in the moment, and in the moment we are timeless. We discover that as we engage in a creative recovery. With that, Julia Cameron encourages us to take one small daily action instead of really indulging in the big picture and the final product. She basically is just telling us to do it, and in the end, we'll see the outcome and everything will flow together. Those are the two key pieces that I took away from this chapter. Like I mentioned, it was very long. I did enjoy some of the activities. Plan a perfect day in your life as it is now constituted. Go ahead and do some of those activities from your ideal day. In my Artist Way journal, I did write out my ideal day for me and what that would look like. Logan and I had made plans to go get the second book in the Heavenly Bodies series. I don't actually know what the series is called. 5-star read, Heavenly Bodies. I recommend if you want a fantasy romance. It's perfect. One of the best books of the year that I've read. So we had this date planned to go to the brand new Barnes & Noble down south a little bit from me. A little bit of drive, like 20 minutes. So not really that much of a drive. But we ended up going to Gap. We did some shopping. We went to Barnes & Noble and got some Starbucks and had the perfect little evening and ended it with dinner at North Italia, one of my favorite restaurants. And I didn't really film majority of that besides the bookstore because I just needed quality time with my girly. So that was a lot of fun, and that's what I put in my ideal day. Some of the things that I had written down were to wake up early, which I did, get my morning pages done, my perfect ideal morning, as you all know. Somewhere in there, I wrote down exercise, which I didn't do. I've been so bad about that. It does involve a bookstore. It does involve some shopping and happy hour and a dirty martini, which I did write down, and I did drink a dirty martini, which actually tasted really bad, but I had quality time. So that was really nice to think about my ideal day and what I would want to do and just give myself to live that ideal day. And I think that goes back to the idea of time and how we think too much about what we want to do rather than just doing it. And this exercise reminded me that I don't need to constantly think about my future and what I want to do when I can just do it in the now. And I really just enjoyed that process. Loved some of these activities that I worked on, and one of them I'm planning on incorporating into my mood board that I'll be working on. It says color scheme. Pick a color and write a quick few sentences describing yourself in the first person. What is your favorite color? What do you have that is that color? What about an entire room? This is your life and your house. I'm going to change up that activity a little bit. I am going to choose a color. My color is going to be chartreuse. I've been just obsessing over chartreuse green lately, and we're going to add some chartreuse to my December mood board. So a little bit of festive, a little bit funky, and we're going to keep it fresh. Those are my thoughts on week 8 of The Artist Way. Can you believe that I am almost done? There are 12 weeks total. I have 9, 10, 11, 4 weeks. Let's spend the rest of our day together. I'm going to work on my mood board. Happy day after Thanksgiving. I feel so full with my heart and with my belly. If you must know, my favorite Thanksgiving item or dish is the green bean casserole. I'm a vegetarian, so I tend to go for the sides. And honestly, just Don't even give me dessert. Don't give me pumpkin pie. Just give me my own tray of green bean casserole and I will be good to go. I will be the happiest foodie that day on Thanksgiving. Why do we only make green bean casserole once a year? Why do we not make it more often? Food for thought, literally. I realized that next week, Monday is December 1st, we need to talk about my monthly goals and what I plan to work on in December. Logan and I were chatting earlier this week and we decided that we wanted to start the 75 booked challenge. So we are embarking on this journey together for accountability, but also so we can read the books that we own. There are specific rules and I'll be adding a few rules to mine, but this challenge was created by Emily, and I will link her YouTube channel down below and social media. Logan and I decided that December 1st would be the perfect time because 75 days from December 1st is actually February 14th. It'll be a cute little way to treat ourselves after Valentine's Day. So here are the rules for 75 booked: 2 45-minute reading sessions. One of them has to be outside of the bed. How I'm going to be tweaking one of my reading sessions is that one of them has to be either on the treadmill so I can get my steps in, or it has to be an audiobook so I can work on any creative activity while I'm listening to an audiobook. And during both of those 45-minute reading sessions, we have to finish a water bottle each session. And I am trying to drink more water, so this is perfect. Rule number 2 is to log your progress, whether it be on Fable, Goodreads, a reading journal. I have a reading journal and I log everything on Fable, so I will be doing just that. Yes, rule number 3. No buying books. No book shopping. No buying books. Do you hear that? Do you hear me? Am I hearing myself? No buying books. Book buying ban. And on top of that, I'm also adding no shopping in general for me. Like, I need to just be on a shopping ban, especially after Black Friday, and treating myself a little bit, which no regrets. A pretty tough one, but since Logan is not buying books either, hopefully that'll help. And honestly, I am the worst instigator. It's my fault. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Then one other rule, the 4th rule that I'm adding for myself, is to make sure that I get 8,000 steps a day. Since October, since everything went down with Mowgli, since I got back from my trip with my sister, I have just been so bad at taking care of my health, and I have not been getting my steps in. So I want to make sure that these next 75 days I get 8,000 steps a day, no exceptions. This is a rule. I need to do it. It's not that difficult to do, especially if I'm going to be reading while I'm walking. I should be able to do this because I know I've been doing it before. I just took a hiatus and now I need to get my 8,000 steps every single day back in. Those are my rules for the 75 booked challenge. Logan has similar ones. I don't think she's being as strict on herself. I'll have her write down her rules in a comment down below. If you would like to join us, you should. It should be fun. I will be tracking my progress in my weekly videos and give you any updates on social media as well. On top of that, December TBR, we are nearing the end. I didn't give myself a strict TBR for November and December. I just basically created a 10 before the end, books that I want to finish before the end of the year. The books that I want to finish are right over here, and you can't see them. So I'm going to put them right here. And like I mentioned, I'm currently reading The Rays by Ali Kriegsman, which is a thriller about a girl whose friend, also CEO of a company she works at, dies. And now this girl turns into the new CEO of this multi-billion-dollar company, and she has to figure out what actually happened. So it's a thriller. It's fun so far. I'm enjoying it. It's very girl bossy, and I'm learning a lot about how tech startups work reading this book. And my audiobook is Heavenly Bodies. I'm over 60% of the way through. I wanted a refresher, and I'm so glad I'm listening to the audiobook because it's so much fun. But also, I am obsessed with Enzo and Alara and just the story in general because I love Greek mythology, but also I like astrology, and it kind of has a little bit of both. There's so much yearning. It's so good. It's such a good fantasy romance. My favorite. One of my favorite books of the year. Truly, truly. So finishing that before Logan and I start Fallen Stars together. Those are my reading updates and what I plan on reading the rest of December. Like I mentioned, a lot of sequels and a few arcs and gifted copies. Trying to get as much gifted copies done before the end of the year so I can start fresh in January. And we'll talk about my reading plans for 2026 in a future December video. I'm gonna end it right here. I hope you all had a lovely Thanksgiving. I hope you got to spend it with friends and family, and I will see you in another video next week. Have a great day, and December, we're here. It's here.